This is a Think Live Be production.
3, 2, 1. Taking the best, seeking the best.
Good morning.
Good morning. Happy 4th of July.
Yep, happy 4th of July, everybody. This is
A special episode.
coming out a week from now.
Yeah, it's coming out a week from now. We are recording, though, on the 4th of July because this is when we have some downtime and some quiet time to do the things that...
Until the fireworks.
Right, we're going to get this done before the fireworks start. We live in an area where we call it... It's like right
We live
here.
it's
in the city.
We live in the city.
We live in the city, but it's...
We call it the country.
We call it the country because there's like the little pocket that we live in has big lots.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons we wanted this house was this massive lot that you can't get in most neighborhoods.
Yeah, there's a lake across the street, and it's kind of like, it's little old Florida.
Yeah.
You know what that is and stuff.
And so people really like their fireworks.
Yeah,
And
the further out in the country you go, the more fireworks, they last longer and longer.
Yeah, we're definitely not in the country, but it feels that way sometimes on 4th of July specifically. Or any other occasion where you would light off fireworks.
Yeah, before we moved into this house, we lived right even closer to downtown. We were really in the houses, little bungalows all right next to each other, from the 30s and stuff. And so being out here on a half an acre and stuff, half acre lots, it's like it does feel
it has a different vibe for sure. But so we're gonna get this done before all of the festivities begin around us.
Yes.
And but
you want to introduce
what we're doing?
Yes.
What this is?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
200 plus episodes.
Listen, I sometimes start with the intro and sometimes I forget. And it's not even really that I forget. It's just that, there's not like a natural moment.
You're ready to get going. You want to talk about
I want to talk about what I want to talk about before I forget. I have a little dose of ADD and I can easily jump to the next thing. But anyways, this is our podcast. It's called Seeking the Best. I'm Catherine Stelgis, your host, and this is Patrick Vatika.
Hi.
Hi. And he's our sound engineer, producer extraordinaire. And so we talk about real estate and all the things, not real estate for customers and clients. We don't talk about how to buy and sell real estate.
If you turn
this on and you're looking for investing tips or
you might get those.
Yeah. Okay. But if you're looking for how do I sell my house? Things like that. That's not what this is. This is
go hire somebody that listens to this podcast.
Right. Go hire a professional realtor. But no, this is for the real estate agent. I've been selling houses for about 18 years. Somehow, I don't know how that happened. And so I've learned so much over the years through trial and error, making mistakes, working with hundreds and hundreds of buyers and sellers. And we like to talk about it and try to figure out better ways to do things. And what if we did this instead?
Streamlining.
Yeah.
How do you streamline this stuff so that it is as polished as it can be and running like a Swiss timepiece?
Yeah. They haven't quite figured that out.
Of course not. And you never will. It can always be fixed. It can always be made better. It can always be made faster. And then as soon as you get it and you like where it is, there's a big wrench that gets thrown in the industry and you got to change a bunch of stuff.
That's one thing.
That's part of it.
That's one thing I've really had a hard time grappling with.
I know it is. Catherine, let me just say this real quick. So I think she's always kind of looked at the behind the scenes stuff like Google Drive or CRM as like this big, beautiful closet that you spend all of this time cleaning. And then you stand back and you fold your arms and you go, there. It's done. Nobody touch anything. Except what's going to happen is people are going to touch stuff because it's a CRM or it's Google Drive. So there is no ever ending of there. Now that's clean. I'll never have to touch it again. It is the floor of the closet.
So agreed.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn how to be okay with that.
And it's a constant thing.
I am a work in progress.
Yes.
I have to constantly remind myself that it's truly, like, as cliche as it sounds, it's you gotta be okay with the journey, like, not the destination.
Yeah.
Yep. I just said that.
Mm-hmm.
Put it in a meme.
We'll put it on get it printed on a piece of reclaimed wood, written in paint, white
journey,
cursive.
not the destination.
Yeah, you can hang it in the living room.
But truly, like, if you're a control freak like me, and you like everything to be perfect in a certain way, it can be very challenging in this business where things change daily and the business changes, and your team, if you're growing an organization, like, if somebody else comes in and, like Pat says, somebody touches something and they break it, they mess it up. I hate, let me just pause for a second and say, no, I'm not going
No,
to.
go ahead.
Okay. I thought you were.
Stop paying attention to me.
Okay. I hate when somebody starts a new Google document. I'm like, we probably don't need that.
Oh,
like,
you mean because there's already one? There's already a template?
Yeah, like somebody starts something and I'm like, thanks for sending that to me, but we probably actually don't need that. And that's just taking up more space and mess. But okay, you kind of got to step back and say, like, it's all part of the process, and it's about owning a business and making it the best that you can, and being okay with the fact that sometimes the laundry ends up on the back of the chair and not in the drawers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, look, I did a
You
metaphor.
did it.
But anyways, it's the 4th of July, and we're, there's something. America is known for the American dream, right? And the part of the American dream is that you can come to America and you can, have whatever life you want and own things, like own your own property. And so home ownership has always been a part of that.
Yeah.
And
it's like a built-in kind of thing.
Yeah. And that's cool. As a realtor, we have a large group of people that want to use our services because they believe in it. They believe in the product, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. But so I thought it would be interesting to kind of talk about, like, yes, there's lots of people that own homes, but do you really know, like, how many you have access to and who are those people at any time, and how to best find out who is your market?
Well, it's really important when that's what you do for a living, to know those.
Yeah.
How to get a hold of those people.
Well,
right?
because we talk about.
Otherwise, it's a whole life of just door knocking.
Well, right. Well,
right?
Like we talk about, there's lead generation tactics where you can get in front of people who happen to be buying or selling homes.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's really, like, if you do that for a while, get some sales, right? I talk about the MREA book, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, a lot because I've read it a million times, and I try to, follow those models because it's a business model for realtors. And one of the things they talk about is lead with revenue. And so this is one of those few businesses where it is the American dream. You can open up a business with, like, hardly any money and go get a real estate license and start a business. It's pretty incredible. And now I'm not saying that everybody should do that, because there's some people that probably this is not the right field for them. And yet it's the American dream. You can have your own business and own something. And so once you get some revenue going and you get in front of people, then I think it starts to get more interesting, and you start to really think about, like, lead generation in a different way, in a business strategic business way, instead of just like, yeah, I can go hold a bunch of open houses. But, like, how can I produce business for the most people, like either a target niche, which we'll talk a little bit about, or like who's doing the business right now. Like, one of the things when the market shifted so I got into real estate in 2006, and at that time there was like 26,000 listings available for sale. And it finally, it was a very bad, depressed market, right? The great, what it was,
recession.
Great recession. And in that time, there were still people buying homes, and there were still people moving. And so the people who strategically looked for who are the people that would be buying or selling right now, and let me figure out how to get in front of them. So the agents who really succeeded during that time, at a high level went and talked to the banks, right? Like, who are the people that are selling the most homes at that time? Banks.
Yep.
And so they made
for those-
strategic relationships with those people.
Yeah, for our newer agents that have
Oh,
only
yeah.
been
Don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, have only been in the business for a few years. There was a time I remember when Catherine was starting out where there were agents who didn't do anything except for list distressed properties owned by the banks. That was their business, and they had multiple listings at a time. And then when obviously those were people who saw an opportunity, took advantage of it. Do you think those people are doing that now? No, because there aren't any.
Right. So they've had to shift their business.
They had to shift.
But it's as you grow into your lead generation plan, you realize like it's about the who, not so much. I mean, it's yes, you need to know how, but it's the who. Like, who is it that I'm going to be targeting? And so first you need to, I think, understand like how many homeowners actually exist. Like we say, it's the American dream. Everybody wants to own a home.
Mm-hmm.
So we looked this up. There's 333 million people that live in the United States, and 66% of them are homeowners.
Right.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people. And so then from there, like, okay, so that's a huge market pool. You know how they're like if you were to go get into a business, like let's say we wanted to go sell dog beds, we would look at the industry and say like, how many people actually buy dog beds and how much do they spend on dog beds? And you do market research.
Sure.
Before you entered into an industry where you actually don't have any idea how much money you can make in a business because you've never actually done it. You just thought like, I can design cute dog beds. I'm using the dog bed example because
we're thinking of Modern Family.
Yeah, we just watched Modern Family episode. Well, I guess there's a few episodes where Jay is designing dog beds.
Yeah.
So it came to mind. And you would do market research. And so I think that's one of the fun things that I've learned that's important, and how to dig into that. And so I've been thinking about it a lot lately because obviously the market's shifting again. So back in the day when the market was in the Great Recession, I didn't work with banks. I wasn't savvy enough. Like, I had just gotten my real estate license. So I was just figuring out like,
trying to not drown.
Like, how do I make a sale?
Yeah.
So I didn't know enough to start any kind of strategic plan. But once I got my feet wet and started making sales, I did learn about short sales. And I went and I took an extra class to learn about how to be a short sale specialist. And then that was a targeted group of people that I would look for because I now had a skill and a education to help those people.
Yeah.
And so I think like in any market, there's opportunity in who needs us, and you need to either figure out who it is and how to target them, or what other education or piece of information do you need to be able to help that group.
Yeah, and before you know it, you've done that a bunch of times and you have the knowledge to be able to do anything on a dime.
Yeah.
Right? You can just switch on a dime.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think, I know that there are a lot of first year, second year, third year agents who are freaking out right now with what is to come in the coming weeks and months with buyer's agents and getting agreements signed and all of those things. And just know that agents that have been in the business for 15 years, 16, 18, 25 years and do a lot of business are not worried in the slightest, because they know whatever it gets thrown at them, they're going to know how to counter that. Right? That's part of the deal. That's part of the experience and stuff. And it just takes a really long time I don't even think you know when it happens. It just sort of does, where you can just all of a sudden just kind of be like, oh, I can see this trend happening. I need to be able to go and fill that trend now before it becomes a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'll give you one more stat just as an example, and then we'll kind of talk about like different resources, I guess is a good way, like some things I've been looking at lately, because we're in a shifting market. So like who are the groups that I need to be focused on?
Yeah.
And one of the things I was just looking at was, so 66% of the American population owns a home. And it used to be, again, going back to that time, remember, okay, if you had just got your license or you weren't in real estate in 2008-ish, you're not going to know what I'm talking about. But there was a time where there was a first-time home buyer credit. Remember that?
Yep.
It was like the government put out, I think it was $8,000, which isn't like in the grand scheme that much money, but
right,
at the
but
time,
the prices of homes then
true,
were half really of what they are now.
Right. So like at that time, first time home buyers were kind of a big deal to go after.
Yeah.
Because
you had an $8,000 credit you could waive and go, look, you get this, you know,
And-
towards your down payment when you're buying a $200,000 house, which was a lot. I remember when Catherine first started, when she got her first $200,000 buyer or listing, that was a huge deal because in this area, the average price was probably $150 or so.
Yeah.
Right. So if your average price home is $150 and you're getting an $8,000 credit towards your down payment, right? It's almost your whole down payment. It's not, but it's pretty damn close, you know?
Well, yeah, it was at the time, it was a really big deal. And so you could really target that group of people with an incentive for them to potentially make a purchase because they were already in that phase of life where they wanted to buy a home. And there was a financial benefit to doing it then as well.
Right.
And so I was thinking about first time home buyers. And so here's the stats. So first time home buyers last year made up 32% of the market.
It's pretty good.
Meh. So the year before it was 26. So it's up, but it's down.
It's higher than I thought it was going to be.
First time home buyers normally, like the average since 1981 was 38%.
Okay. So,
and there's definitely were years where it was 40 something percent.
Right.
So it's down pretty significantly for the average. So do we expect that to go up in the coming years or down? Like, is it going to get more affordable?
I would assume that it's going to get less affordable.
That's what it feels like
That's
right
what it
now.
feels like.
And I think it's going to get harder and more challenging for them. So would that be a target market that I would want to pursue right now?
Nope.
Probably not. And especially
it's
because
not mean you consciously avoid them. It just means that your precious, valuable, expensive time could be spent somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, so like when I first got into real estate, I was 25. Wait, is that right? Or was I 23? 25?
I don't know.
Doesn't matter. Don't do the math on that.
18 years ago, 25. Okay.
Okay. So I got into real estate in my 20s. And so it was good timing because that $8,000 credit was around. And the people that I already knew
were first-time home buyers.
Yeah, so it kind of worked out. So I'm not suggesting that if you're brand new to the industry and you're in your 20s, early 30s, like that might be the best target group for you because you're going to resonate with where they are.
Yeah.
And be attending the same social functions and be in front of them.
Yeah.
So you have to know like who you are first, where you are in your stage of life, who are the people that you're already engaging with, and what would be their reasons for buying, and then get in front of those people. I think that's the first step. But then understand that so if I'm, not of that age of a normal first-time home buyer and the first-time home buyer pool is down, why would I go market that?
Right.
Like that wouldn't make sense for me.
Right.
So, but then there's the other side. So my
So Catherine won't be doing any first-time home buyer seminars at the library.
I have done that before. Not at the library, but I did do first-time home buyer seminars.
Every agent's done that.
Yeah.
At some point.
Well, and we even did like a beer
that's different.
Buyer thing, but that wasn't targeted to first-time home buyers.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
Specifically.
But we can get into that too. Like that is targeting different groups, the investing and all of that stuff. But go on.
But go on.
Go on.
Well, now I don't remember where I was. What was I saying?
I don't know.
Oh, So it's not always though your age. So like,
Oh yeah.
let me give you an example. One of the title reps that we work with is with First American Title, and they're a treasure trove of information, by the way. So specifically First American, but like I think any title company can also help you kind of figure out who's buying and selling, right? They're the ones actually closing the deals. But First American is actually a data company. And so they have all this valuable information. And if you make friends with a title rep from there, they'll definitely give you information and share their one of the resources they have, which is like a platform where you can actually go in and choose a specific target area, and then you can filter people by demographic information. So if I want to target a specific group, I can easily find it within their system. So one of the things the title rep that I know recently told me was that in our area, the majority of listings right now, and I can't remember the stat she told me, but the majority of listings right now are coming from people who have owned their home for 30 years or more.
Mm-hmm. What's that say to you?
Well, so that's valuable information, right? If I want to take more listings. And at the same time, those are not the people that resonate in my age group.
Right.
I don't know that sentence made sense, but
yes, well,
you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're not 70 years old.
Yeah, like, so those people aren't necessarily people that I would normally hang out with or that we have anything in common. And yet I've been doing real estate a really long time and have value to add to them.
Yeah, baby boomers are getting to be from their early 70s into their late 70s. And those 1,800, 2,500 square foot ranch houses and 2-story colonials they're getting ready to sell because they're getting to be that age where they have to. And the baby boomer generation is huge.
Yeah. So that's good information to know. And what I was going to say is that it's a huge generation, because I also read an article recently that said that a lot of people of that generation are actually deciding to stay put and age in place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but it's such a huge
Doesn't
generation
matter.
of people.
You're still talking about literally millions of homes.
So there might be a lot more than would normally stay in place, but still, what's the majority of the listings that would be available would be those people. So then you start to think about, well, what do those people need? And I'm like, well, if they've been living in their house for 30 years, it looks like my mom's house.
Yeah.
And it needs
if they're in their late 70s, this is not everybody, of course, but if they're in their late 70s, the kids moved out 30 years ago, right? They decided to keep
more than that.
They decide, well, they more. Well, it depends, It's like if they're in their late 70s, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it's like they were 40. It's like they what happens when kids move out? All the kids are gone, the empty nesters. They remodel. Right? Kids are gone. Let's remodel.
Yeah.
So most of these houses were remodeled then, or they have 1990s kitchens and all of that stuff.
Yeah, you've seen it.
You've seen it.
You grew up in it.
Yeah.
And so what do they need? They need help with how to make it saleable to today's market, right? Because the people buying today don't want a dated house.
Right.
Most people don't have the additional funds to do the renovations.
And chances are, here's another thing. Chances are they own the house outright or are pretty close.
Well, imagine if you owned it for 30 years. Well, what's
30-year mortgage?
It's 30-year mortgage.
Yeah. So chances are they own the house outright. And what else? What are they going to do when that house sells? They're going to downsize to a condo or go live with their kids or whatever it happens to be. So they're not like, oh, I have to get this for this house, because if I don't get this, then I can't get the nice big house that I want.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then of course I'm being very general with all of this, but generally speaking, that's the case. So these are all things that right now. Right. So you want to take a break?
We can.
Okay. Let's take a quick break and then we'll come back and continue.
Okay.
Hi guys, it's me, Catherine. As savvy listeners know, I'm the team owner of the Think Live Be team based in Orlando, Florida. We are always looking for talented, experienced agents who are ready to double or triple their sales. Listeners to this show already know we have the systems and support in place so our agents can plug and play and take their success to the next level. With over 18 years of fine-tuned marketing campaigns and lead generation techniques, we have the very best systems for getting your production to the next level in 90 days. Our agents' main responsibilities consist of lead generation and conversion, showing properties, making offers, and negotiating contracts. If you're ready to take your real estate career to new heights, contact us today at thinklivebe.com/hiring. Hey listeners, it's me, Catherine, your host of Seeking the Best, the podcast. I'm thrilled to bring you the Seeking the Best YouTube channel. Here we'll serve up tidbits, tips, tricks, and hacks in bite-sized videos designed to help you thrive in the fast-paced life as a real estate agent. Need a quick strategy for lead generation or a savvy trick for staying organized? We've got you covered. With powerful insights you can apply right away. No fluff, no fuss, just practical videos that fit into your busy schedule. So whether you're at the office, on the road, or in between showings, our videos are here to give you the edge you need. Just search Seeking the Best on YouTube and subscribe now to join me as we unlock the secrets to being a successful agent.
And we're back.
My coffee's kicking in.
All right.
Being weird over here. Well, I was so we were talking about what a title rep had told me recently, that the majority of the listings right now were coming from people who had owned their home for 30 years or more. Right. And so you were kind of making an assumption on the age, but I have the actual stats.
Oh, was I wrong? Because I went on and on and on.
Well, there's a difference between most of the listings and the age of home sellers. So most of the listings have been people who've owned their home for 30 years or more. Doesn't necessarily mean they're all in their 70s. Make sense?
Sort of.
Like
it could be people who got out there and 22 years old and bought a house, I guess. Then they'd be in their 50s.
Well, think about like the life cycle of most people, right? They buy their first home maybe when they're getting married, and then maybe when they have their first kid, they're looking to upsize a little bit, or they have a second kid, they're looking to upsize. And then they usually want to move one more time while the kid's still in school. And then the kid graduates and they're gone and they're empty nesters. And then they typically will move into their like final house, like they're the one that luxury one that they wanted, but the kids messed everything up.
Right.
But not everyone has that final piece. Not everyone moves into the last nice house. Some people just stay in the one where their kids grew up in.
It's like every television show you ever watch. The kids all come back for Thanksgiving and they're all in their house they grew up in.
Right. So in that scenario, let's say, and I don't have the stats on people and their children when their children were born, but let's say if you move to your kind of final destination before this next final move, and you're, in your mid 30s, right? Like, and your kids are still in school and stuff, but you don't make the transition when they move out.
Right.
You stay put.
So you're in your 60s.
You're in your 60s. So the largest pool of sellers of the age last year was between 65 and 74 years old. And then the second was 55 to 64. But so you see that anywhere from 55 to 75 years old, that's the bulk of people who are selling their homes.
Yes.
So even if you're a brand new agent and maybe your life is 20 somethings for home buying, then you can target those as first time home buyers. But for sellers, you need to think about the fact that there's no target market for the people that that are selling because they don't own a house yet.
Yeah.
So if you want to list properties, you need to learn all the things that somebody between 55 to 75 years old would want to know,
right,
making their move from either their moving into either their new luxury home or downsizing.
And there's always going to be people who fall into your lap or are in their 40s going to sell a house, and there's always going to be that. But we're talking about marketing. So we're talking about looking specifically for groups of people. This would be your group of people.
Well, and
there's always going to be outsiders that fall into this. I had 5 listings last year. None of them were in their 50s and 60s. Okay, sure. Take it down a notch.
Yeah. Well, if I think about I'm thinking of my recent sellers. Like you're always going to have some outliers, right?
Yeah.
I've got somebody who inherited a property. I've got,
Yeah.
But if I think about the age of like the next listing I have coming, an older guy, probably definitely in his 70s, maybe 80s. It's an investment property, but what is he doing? Same thing. Is like he's divesting and getting into his final stages of like what he wants to do with that money that he's been building up over these years. So it's the same exact thing. Even if he wasn't living in the house, the motivation to get that money out at that age
for whatever. Yeah.
So that's all. Like I was. So stepping aside from that, back into the buyer side, I was thinking about like I've always talked about, you know, who
what huh?
Who knows people that are moving to your area, like, and the answer is always the same. It's like human resources people, and yet I don't know anyone that works in human resources.
I know,
like I just don't. At least I don't think I do.
My sister does.
But does
she sort of does, but she doesn't live here.
No, she doesn't live here, and I think she does like
it's different.
It's different.
Yeah, we don't have to get into it.
I know, but it's not like she's not helping people relocate.
Yes, correct.
So, you know, aside from going and meeting people in just random businesses, which you could do, but you don't like. Usually
the person who does that doesn't have any problem finding clients. If you can walk into some random business and say, who's your human resource guy? And go, hi, I'm Patrick. I'm a real estate agent. Blah, blah. Like that, if you got balls on you to be able to do that, then you're not going to have any problems in real estate.
Well, so I was thinking about it though, like, okay, what's a more strategic plan, right? Like you could go into any large business and try to get in front of their human resources, but how many people do they actually have moving to this area?
Right.
Like
at the end of the day, is it one of those isn't going to do it? You've got to go into 20 of them.
Yeah. So then I started thinking about like, well, how would I know what's a company that's bringing in a lot of people? Like, how could I find out that information? And I was like, I wonder. So anyways, I found some resources that probably every major city has. And in ours, it's the Economic Development Board, basically. They have their own site with all kinds of information. And there's a specific spot that says relocations and expansions. And I was like, oh. And literally, it's a list of all of the companies and like why they're relocating to the area and what they're expanding and how many people they're bringing in.
They're bringing in, yeah. That's
pretty powerful information.
Yeah.
Now, what do you do with it is the next question.
Oh, yeah. Listen to our next episode where we...
But my point is like getting more strategic with data and knowing, okay, if I want to focus on home buyers and can I find something that provides multiple opportunities, not just one? Like open houses are awesome. I highly recommend them for anybody, brand new agent, experienced agent, doesn't matter. They're awesome because you're literally in front of people that are looking to buy, or they're not walking in there just for fun. I know people say, I'm just looking. No, they're not. They just don't want to talk to you.
The only person that I would give a pass to is if it was the little old biddy that lived next door.
Okay.
And she says, I've always wanted to see the inside of this house. And she lives next door. Right. And then she won't leave because she wants to tell you about the neighborhood for 45 minutes.
Hey, like, you still want to get to know that lady.
Sure, of course.
Because she knows who else is selling and moving.
That was going to be the next thing I said. Is that what you're going to get out of that is she's going to say, I think the people across the street are going to move soon.
Yeah.
Because I was just talking to Gladys.
Don't discount the little bitty. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So, but those are amazing sources of business. And if you want to get real strategic about like who's buying in your area, think about what economic development board or business organization maybe tracks that information, and they might have an entire list of companies. Instead of walking door to door,
right,
you could actually be talking to the people who are bringing in mass groups of people to live here, and how can you get in a relationship with them? And then I was thinking about, okay, so on the selling side, like if the majority of sellers are between 55 and 74, which they are, we have that stat. They're between that age. They're either downsizing or they're moving into the next luxury home is what I would say.
Right.
So if you're not a luxury agent, like it's definitely like everybody always says like, oh, I want to sell luxury homes because the commission checks are bigger. I get it. And they also have their own set of challenges.
Yeah.
And the clientele is maybe not the exact clientele you want to work with. It's a business decision, but to be part of the certified luxury home marketing specialist designation, you have to sell a certain amount of homes that qualify as luxury in your area. And then once you do, you have so much data that they provide as part of your membership dues. And I think like I was looking at it and thinking, wow, this is like really an untapped resource that I should be
taking advantage of.
Because it tells you then insight. So if I know that the majority of sellers are between this age, and if I'm thinking like the 55 to 65 people are probably not looking to downsize necessarily. Some of them might be.
Right. But
Don't get me
if
wrong.
luxury home, you own a home that's $2 million, are you going to downsize to $350,000 to a $350,000 house? Or,
Right.
Or
So
probably not.
So there's a market in there where you could be selling their house because they are in the stage of life to sell and helping them buy the next place, which could be a luxury home. So then you can use that data to see what does that lifestyle look like? What are those people looking for? And use that to gear your marketing towards them.
Right.
You
Get
know
your
what I
car
mean?
washed before you go to that listing appointment.
I used to, when I first got into real estate, I had a Ford Mustang.
Yeah.
That I had been rear-ended.
Yeah.
It was the car I got when I turned, I think I turned 17. I got that car.
Yeah.
And
So drove it all through college and
yeah. And it was like my sophomore year of college, the first day of school, somebody rear-ended me.
right.
And they broke the trunk and the spoiler that was on the back of it.
Mm-hmm.
I was riding in style, okay? And the spoiler broke off and then the trunk was like forever broken.
Yeah.
And I never got it fixed. And so for the first like good chunk of my real estate career, I was like embarrassed to go on appointments.
I think you had gotten a rental car every once in a while.
If
I remember correctly. There weren't that many listing appointments going on in the first year of real estate, but I do remember at least twice in that time that a rental car was.
If I think back on it, though, it really wasn't like it was a nice looking car. You couldn't tell that the trunk was broken,
No,
like
it was
unless
just
you were like up on it.
Yeah.
But it was still that feeling of like
This is my college car. Yeah.
Yeah, like it was sort of embarrassing. But so think about who are those people and how, like, first of all, how would you get in front of them? Are they using social media? Like if you're this is one of those things where I personally get really busy in the day-to-day stuff. And sometimes you are throwing out mailers and ads and things like that and not having enough time to really think strategically about it. But it's like that age group, are they looking at the things that you're doing?
Mm-hmm.
Are you attracting the people that you're trying to attract? And like, if I think about the people that I know that are in their 70s, they are on Facebook all day.
They got nothing else to do.
Because they don't like they're retired and they don't have anything else to do. So maybe Facebook advertising is a good idea for those people, but then you have to put it in front of them, an ad about selling and downsizing and something that they would be interested in, not just I just listed another property.
I did see, because we were, for those of you who don't know yet or didn't listen to the commercials that just played, we do have a new YouTube channel. So I've been reading some articles and looking at some stuff, and it is the largest growing section demographic on YouTube.
Really?
Are people in their.
They got nothing else to do.
They're finally. It took them a while, guys, but they finally found YouTube.
Oh no! Well, now so it's time to pack it in then.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I don't think any of our listeners are in their 70s, so hopefully I didn't offend. But truly, like, who are those people and how would they be consuming information? And one of the things about like direct mail is there's a lot, because direct mail has been going on for so many years. There's so much data and information about who actually opens direct mail. And one of the stats, I have not seen this lately, but I just remember it from research, is that women are more likely to open direct mail. And I get that because I open every single thing that comes in the mail.
Yeah.
Because I'm afraid that something might be important. So I look at every single thing. Even if I throw it in the trash, I'm still looking at it. So if you're targeting women, because there's a large demographic of women who actually buy their own home without a partner or spouse, and you're targeting women, direct mail might be a good way to go.
Yeah.
Because they open it.
Which means that could be how you, when we say that, it's like, then maybe that's the approach you take to your direct mail pieces, is
Right.
geared towards them. Not just, this is who I'm sending it to. What's it look like? What are you trying to say in those photographs that are on the front of that postcard?
Yeah.
Well, what's the copy like? What are you trying to, how are you getting, what's the call to action that you're looking for? All of those things.
Well, and so I think the final resource piece of information that I would say that I've looked at and I like to look at is migration data. So like, where are people moving from?
Mm-hmm.
So there's lots of ways you can get that information, right? Like you can go to the census data and get that, but it's going to be the 2020 information. So it's already 4 years old.
Yeah.
So, and it's in such a big change since 2020 in our lives and the economy and all of that, that I don't know that data is as accurate.
Right. That makes sense, actually.
So one of the things, and this only applies if you're with Keller Williams, but again, like that's why I love this company. I'm not here to sell Keller Williams, but we have a referral platform where we can connect with other agents across the globe and through the referral platform. And one of the things in that platform is you can actually see, because there's so many agents within Keller Williams, it provides a bunch of data.
Right.
So you can actually see the migration patterns of where referrals are coming from to our area.
Mm-hmm.
And that's powerful.
Sure.
Like I can see how, like who I should get in relationship with are the people who have those incoming and outgoing. If I see that line, there's a line from Orlando to, let's say, Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a large percentage of people. Well, then I need to be in relationship with people who are doing business in Atlanta.
Right.
And then I could get even
And if you
further in the weeds and say,
well, if you work for a brokerage like Keller Williams, then you can start to track down other agents in Keller Williams in Atlanta that do a lot of business that you can, and it's easy to see how many sales they have, look them up, see what kind of people they are, introduce yourself, go back and forth, all of that stuff. Right.
yeah. And I actually did a, sorry for the smacking. I did a candy bag post on our website. If you go to onseekingthebest.com and you go to the candy bag, I basically just try to just get a little snippet from the podcast episode and give you like a little extra resource or a little extra story thing in there. And I actually wrote one for last week's episode about the top 5 reasons why people move.
Uh-huh.
And I'll recap them real quick and then you can read more on the candy bag. But it's the five Ds: divorce, death, deployment, dependence, and dividends.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you think about all those reasons, you can really start to see the patterns where dependence would be like kids being born, kids moving out, all of those things. Obviously, we understand divorce and death, those life changes. Deployment, relocation. That's what we're talking about, the migration patterns. Where are people relocating to and where are they coming from? And who do I need to know? What companies are bringing people in? And then dividends are investors. And we talked about them last week and they suck. No, I'm just kidding. We're investors.
Hey.
But so if you really focus, I've always found that if you're focusing on the people who are making moves because of life decisions, they're the most motivated. And that falls into that 55 to 74 category, right? Those people are moving because it's a change in their lifestyle they're looking for. So start thinking about how you're reaching those people and how you're communicating with them. Is it attractive? Like, they don't care about, oh yeah, I just listed a new home or I just sold a house. It's more about who they are as people. in that community. So then you have to get even further into the demographics. If you're targeting specific neighborhoods, like what are their interests? And if you're looking at a pattern of migration, and a lot of them are moving within a 30-mile radius to be closer to their kids who have grandbabies, might that be a good social media ad?
Right.
Is them holding a little grandbaby in their new house. And if I think back actually to a recent sale that we just had, that's exactly what they did.
Yeah. I mean, that's very common.
Yeah. I mean, these are the reasons. So
Yeah.
if I think about just a couple recent sales that I can think of, people, they had become empty nesters over the last few years and they wanted to downsize. They were choosing to actually move into a smaller home, but also they wanted a change in lifestyle. So it was actually a more luxurious community. Okay. So it was kind of like a combination of both. Then I think about another one where they sold their house and moved about 30 minutes away to be closer to where their kids lived because they had just had a grandbaby. These are the people that matter. It's not the like, well, how do I get in front of people? It's like, who is it?
Right. Who are you going to get in front of?
Yeah.
That's the important part.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, you could decide to sell luxury real estate and go figure out what luxury buyers are looking for, but who are those people?
Right.
Not just what do they like in a house.
Right. And this is the next step versus just sitting around waiting for the phone to ring. Right. We just kind of scratched the surface of what it is, but it is, even if you're not ready to put a $10,000 marketing plan together to go after some of this, you can still apply it to your day to day.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking about it just for myself is like, the first thing I can do to take action is to go through my sphere and past clients that I already have and think about, like, I know all of these people.
Who falls into this category that I already know?
Yeah.
It's
Like,
the first
where are
step.
they in their life and what would be maybe their next move? And how should I be talking to them about that?
Now, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's all I got to say about that.
Ladies and gentlemen, the question you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Question from the web. I'm a newer agent, and I heard how getting some. I'm sorry.
Let's
I
start
heard
over.
I'm a newer agent. I heard how getting some time away from the business can be challenging. I can see how it could be easy if an agent doesn't have commitments to clients yet, but an agent who is more established and wants a vacation, is it challenging? Is it common for realtors to ask other agents for coverage or to help show a listing?
Well, it should be common. I think so. Yes, that's definitely a challenge when you're a single agent. You're just getting started because I'm going to be honest with you and say that, like, for your first couple of years, I think you should look at it like you're in school, college, and you're just going to I'm just going to go out and I'm going to learn everything I can. I'm going to grind, and I hate that word, but I still am going to use it.
How about just not, I'm a new agent. I've been in the business for 4 months. I'm ready for a vacation, right?
Yeah.
You just don't get to go on vacation the first couple years. That's
I'm a
pay your
big
dues.
I'm a big believer in travel and having fun. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't take breaks, but I think you are starting a new business. Imagine if you were opening a restaurant.
Yeah. You don't get to just go away for 2 weeks.
Like, you're going to be in it for a while, getting it off the ground. And you should treat it like that. Is like, this is a new venture and a new business, and I'm going to do everything I can to get it going really strong, and then I will earn the right to take a vacation.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. In the question, I can see how a new agent could take off on vacation. Well, a new agent shouldn't be doing anything. They don't have any clients. What are you going on vacation for?
But yes, like, I think it's a great idea to find a partner, because you don't know, like, life could show up and you have to leave town.
Right. That's different.
So, like, find somebody. And when I say partner, I just mean somebody that can help when you're away,
vice versa,
that you trust, and vice versa. And have that just as a backup plan, but understand that although you can make boundaries, and you should expect to really put your head down and make it work before you start talking about taking a break. That's my belief. I'm not saying not to take some time away or, like, relax on a Saturday, But if you really want to be successful, like you're going to do everything you can to make it work really, really well. And then like use that vacation idea as something to push you towards. Like think about a really cool vacation that you'd like to take. And that's what you're working towards. I want to make enough money to live and to pay for that.
Right. But it's all possible.
But yes, then when you get to that point, I do want to point out though that if you have somebody that can help you while you're gone, you still are likely, without true leverage support, you're likely to have to take calls and emails if you have clients in progress, even while you're away, even with somebody helping you, because they're not trained to do things exactly the way you would do them. They're not actually an assistant or a buyer's agent or showing partner for you. It's just somebody that you like in your office. Right. So they're going to help as much as possible. But if somebody wants to write an offer, you should still be able and accessible to do that. Yeah.
Only after years where you have the leverage can you go on a vacation up atop a mountain where you're unreachable.
Well, it's one of the
Unfortunately, that's the trade-off of owning your own business.
Yeah, it's
true. You
true.
can easily go get a 9-to-5 job somewhere where Friday rolls around and you get to turn off your brain and not think about the job again. They give you a week vacation and you can just go on. You can do that. You chose this. So there's the benefits that you know, but there's also the downside. This is one of the downsides. That's part of being a grown-up.
Well, and I also think, like, okay, I believe that if you really enjoy selling real estate, it kind of becomes part of your life, and it's not really that big of a deal. It's like sometimes it can get annoying if you really are like, oh, okay, I know Pat's had moments where he's like, I say, wait, I just got to send an email. He's like,
I know what that means.
Like,
Another game. I'll be playing Candy Crush, waiting for you.
So it can interrupt your life, and sometimes that can be annoying. But for the most part, like, it's not that terrible to have to pause and help somebody with something if you're enjoying what you're doing.
I agree.
Like, for the most part, there's going to be moments.
Yeah.
But do expect that as you're getting a business off the ground, that you're going to have to make some sacrifices. That's my thoughts.
Flow in. Flow in. Flow in.
Small win. Kat, you got a small win this week?
Well, I think I said I'm just like in organizing mode. So I'm like organizing all kinds of things.
What else did you organize?
Well, I think I said the nightstands the other day.
Yeah, you did. It was last week.
Yeah, so that's why you're like, what else did you organize? Because you did that last week. But what I have purchased to organize is the next thing.
What's that?
I purchased
What are you buying?
No, I already did. I purchased shelf dividers to organize our downstairs closet.
There's a lot. It's pretty exciting over here at the Fatika Stelja's house.
I think you said at the beginning of this episode, or maybe we were just talking about like wanting that control and realizing that we're on a journey.
Yeah.
And that I think I've embraced organizing little things because I can
it's
actually
the only control you can have in your life.
But it's like this small thing that I can make. Like, it doesn't take a lot of time.
Yeah.
But I can make it look really nice. And yeah, sure.
And it's accomplished.
And it's done. And it is something where the nightstand drawer should not get messy once you've got the dividers in there.
We'll see.
Yours might. Mine's not going to. Mine's going to look beautiful. I will say that we have a dog, Pistachio. You might have heard, if you've listened to other episodes, you probably heard him barking in the background. And he's, we have 2 Italian Greyhounds, and so they've got real short hair, and his is white.
Yeah, he's
and
all
we
white.
have black. We bought black nightstands, and I went up there earlier.
Oh, is it covered?
There's like little white hairs
Oh, my
everywhere,
God.
so we're gonna have to regularly dust.
More chores.
More chores.
And then mine is Catherine and I in the next coming weeks. I'm not going to disclose our schedules, but we will be traveling to North Carolina again but this is for an extended stay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have work to do. So I have been scouring the internet looking for a way to bring my computer up to the house as inobtrusive as I can make it. and stuff.
Inobtrusive?
Is that a word?
I don't think so.
It is now.
Unobtrusive?
Unobtrusive. So I bought myself a new like portable monitor and a big bag that everything will slide into and stuff. And
Nerd.
I know it's kind of nerdy and stuff, but who's going to edit these podcasts and these videos?
I know you have a lot of work to do.
I've got a lot of, every day that goes by, I get more work assigned to me.
Well, I'm excited for you because I know you want to be able to bring all your gear.
I do.
Because we're going to be have a
We're
nice...
going to be gone for a while, so.
The plan is, speaking of that question from the web, the plan
Yeah.
is to have half
Yeah.
of it we're working,
Yeah.
right? And remote work. And then half of it will actually be a vacation.
Yes. And the
step
goal
away.
is next year, we make it a little longer. The year after that, we make it a little bit longer than that and stuff so that eventually we get to that point. Catherine's, you got that question from the web, guy, girl, whatever, just starting off, already wondering when they're going to go on vacation.
Well, you don't have to wait 18 years, but
You don't have to wait 18 years, but it's for us to go on a vacation any longer than 6 days.
it starts to get dicey.
It starts to get dicey, and Catherine's been doing this a long time, so just keep that in mind. Hey guys, remember to rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. It really helps new listeners to find us. If you'd like to send us a question from the web, read Kat's weekly candy bag blog that goes along with today's episode, buy merch, or learn more about us, go to onseekingthebest.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Seeking the Best Pod, with new videos dropping every Thursday morning before lead gen. And for Kat and myself, thanks for listening, and we'll figure this all out next week. This has been a Think Live Be production.